Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hut, and welcome to the Baseball Hut. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. And this is another episode of the insane asylum known as WFAN.
They're coming to take me away, ha-ha. They're coming to take me away, ho-ho, hee-hee, ha-ha, to the funny fun.
Now, welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully, again, you hit the subscribe button. We like to goof on WFAN, and they've had their comeuppance with smiles on their faces. And this week, as you know, the New York Mets have been playing like demons for the last 4 months, and in particular the last week and a half. The Mets have had incredible comebacks to get them on course to play the National League Championship Series against one of these California teams. As I record this video, the Dodgers are winning 2-0 in the seventh inning. We'll see who they play. But for the past year, they've been on the attack mode against the New York Mets. And not only in the last year, but really for the last 35 years. And the mantra has always been, whatever the Mets do is wrong. And when they do it right, it's still wrong. And they're kind of still doing this monkey crap, I know, amazingly enough, with all this joy that this New York Mets team has given us Mets fans, and a lot of them are supposed Met fans. They are not, as we currently can tell. Now, I would mention, I saw this clip, I can't read it to you, but they have been putting out these Odyssey little snippets, tidbits of articles that I've been sort of goofing on WFAN for the past year. But over the last 3 or 4 months, they're not doing that, because I've been making fun of them for over a year, and they are getting so twisted. They've had to completely change their whole social media strategy to the point where now every night Evan Roberts is doing everything he can to hold back the insanity, doing live streams, talking about the Mets every night, and they've been sort of posting stuff like crazy on YouTube. I would mention, it's not just YouTube out there, folks. There's also other places I could goof on them to expand this empire, the Baseball Hut empire, which I will be doing in this offseason, hopefully, if I have the time. But for the last year, they've been attacking the Mets. I have on the Baseball Hut 2 playlist, and I can run down, and we'll run down through it. And I'll put the link into the Baseball Hut 2 so you can check out this playlist. But the New York Mets have been under the attack for the past year. And I'll run through the names of the videos, the titles of the videos that I've done over the past 30 videos, at least, plus some on here. Here's the first one. This is from a year ago. New York media attacking Mets first baseman Pete Alonso. That's Spaz Licata. Unhinged talk show host Steve Cohen's Mets are a nightmare. This is from Gregory Giannotti of Boomer and Geo, the monkey crap show in the morning. Then we have another one, doubling down on insanity. Host continues attacking Mets owner Steve Cohen. I would say this about the crazy guy in the morning with that poor Boomer. He did apologize on Thursday after the Mets won. But I accept your apology, Greg. I would also mention that they don't like your host. They mention me sporadically. I know Tiki Barber does not like YouTubers, and he doesn't like your host. And the reason is they can't control what I say. And that bothers a guy like Tiki, because Tiki doesn't like the fact that people bring up he didn't like the fact that I mentioned his past as a lousy teammate with Eli Manning. And, of course, a lousy employee under Tom Coughlin. Just to remind Tiki, I'm sure he'll watch. Here's another one. This is from the Spaz. Confused talk show host. Mets Pete Alonso is a cancer. Is toxic. But keep it. Sanity. Talk show host. Mets are embarrassing, but will take over New York City. I thought that was kind of amusing because now that's another Spaz terrific video. Then we have from Giannotti. Unhinged host. Good and Strawberry don't deserve Mets numbers retired. And it's a Mets fan. Here's some more. WFAN doubles down on their attacks on Mets first baseman Pete Alonso. And this stars Sean Marash, also known as the Spud, because he looks like a potato, the Coconut, a.k.a. Brandon Tierney, and Lugauer, who might be the only other Met fan that's positive. Positive Loogie. Only one. I did say something, and he's a bit of a lightweight, which he probably is, but he's been very positive. WFAN starts attack against Mets first baseman Pete Alonso in clubhouse. WFAN refuses to apologize to Mets first baseman Pete Alonso and toxic accusation. Well, that has gone out the window. Spaz, where is Pete's apology? They were attacking him right before the home run last week. WFAN personality throws shade at Mets shortstop Francisco Lindor's 30 feet from last year. An insane WFAN host complained about the Mets firing manager Buck Showalter. And this comes from Spaz and Gregory. Here's another one. WFAN already calling for the firing of Mets. This is the most comical one. WFAN already calling for the firing of Mets executive David Stearns. He was on the job for 4 days. Unbelievable. SNY WFAN host attacks Mets first baseman Pete Alonso and refuses to apologize. Continues, and he didn't say anything on SNY. WFAN host attacked Mets owner Steve Cohen and compare him to the Wilpons. This is the Coconut, Brandon Tierney, the Nut Job in the Morning, Gregory Giannotti, and Keith McPherson, the walking, talking social media type. The walking, talking emoji. Who's like 35 years old and dresses like he's like in a rap video. Stop dressing like that, man. Erratic WFAN host attacks Mets Steve Cohen and David Stearns. This is from that dope Joe Benigno, who said that he didn't want to see the Mets run like the Milwaukee Brewers. Okay. No playoffs for the Mets this year. Oh, wait a minute. The Range WFAN host shows Mets fans over Juan Soto trade. That's that walking emoji. Walking, talking, social media, walking emoji, McPherson. And here's another one. This is WFAN host tries to create fake drama between the Mets and the broadcast team. WFAN host will rant that the Mets don't get Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Juan Soto. Well, they're in the World Series. They have a chance to get in the World Series, Spaz. This is another one. He attacks a YouTuber. This is Spaz attacking Wardy, that little pipsqueak, Wardy NYM over. This is what he wrote. This is what I wrote in the pipsqueak. WFAN host insults Wardy NYM over Mets Pete Alonso comments and deletes posts on X Twitter. And then I guess he kind of apologized to him. And then they become like best buds. And he's introduced him to the SNY. I wonder if he's able to sit in those chairs. He's a little guy, Wardy. He's not a very tall kid. Why don't they give him the high chair when he has to do these, has to be like a guest on SNY. WFAN Joe Benigno cries about Mets owner Steve Cohen hiring David Stearns. Again, tagging David Stearns. Bro, I don't want to have to deal with Milwaukee Brewers baseball. Bro. Caricature. Never liked Joe Benigno. He's the one guy at WFAN I never liked. Fake. Continued WFAN host says Mets pitching will be the worst in MLB in 2024. Well, that's the kind of stuff you get from a coconut. WFAN host calls for the Mets to trade first baseman Pete Alonso before the 2024 season. Well, that's pretty smart, Coconut Head. Because as it turned out, he hit the biggest home run probably in the history of the New York Mets when he beat the Brewers. WFAN says Mets should trade first baseman Pete Alonso so Brandon Nimmo can become a leader. That came from the Spaz. This goes on and on. WFAN host claims Mets lied about the 2024 plan when they signed DH JD Martinez. That is from the Psycho Killer. That's from Chris McMonagle. And have you ever seen pictures of him? This guy looks like he should be in a wanted poster at the post office. And then finally, and there's more. I'm already exhausted. Finally, WFAN host complains about Mets JD Martinez and Francisco Lindor. That's from 6 months ago. And this is continued on. Now, up until about a week and a half ago. They've not stopped. They've had to stop because now they look completely ridiculous. And now you saw, the Nut Job in the Morning having to apologize not only to the Mets ownership, Mets players, the manager, And of course, I accept your apology, Gregory. I thank you. It's good to see a man I wish you would say my name on your show, saying I apologize to the great one, to the people's champion out there out on Long Island, and I wish you the best. We're Met fans who sort of want to see the Mets win, and I apologize to you, sir. My heart would be very warmed by that. Now, we get some more insanity. And it's really changes the goalposts, really. In the morning. This is from Odyssey. Boomer and Geo, or as I call them, Norman and Greg, they don't like being called by their real names. They have to have nicknames. Like Boomer's 65 years old, and he's really now a real boomer. He is the boss at WFAN. Everybody's scared. I think they'd be afraid to fire him. I think the people that run that radio station would be afraid that he would strangle them, like he did that time on the air, the IMUS. I think that's why they resigned him. Well, it's better to resign him than he's going to strangle me if I don't, you know. And of course, Mets should no longer be seen as underdogs against anybody. They're already laying the groundwork if the Mets lose to cover their asses, saying, well, you know, we didn't think the Mets were going to win. The Mets should have won, you know. They've brought such great joy to us as Mets fans, folks, that we can't complain about the way they've been and how they've played. Nobody was really expecting this, except for the players and the organization. I thought they could win 80 games, you know, if we gave them a chance. I kept saying early on, give them a chance to see how this goes. Mets got a very good guy running the ball club. We don't know how the manager's going to be, and we got to give them a chance. There's nothing wrong with saying that. That is what a reasonable, sane person would say. Not with WFAN. Now they've changed the goalposts. Gio believed New York would close it out in Queens. And that's exactly what they did, rolling in Game 3 before riding Francisco Lindor's unforgettable grand slam to a clinching win in Game 4. It wasn't a surprise to Gio. It wasn't a surprise to Greg, who during the program apologized, who continues to believe that New York can beat anyone left in the playoffs because they have been playing like one of the best teams in baseball for months. Even though he was complaining a week and a half ago that it would be he wasn't in on the club. You know, I mean, come on. Yeah, they wrote this. This is why they take all this stuff down. Because they were doing this every day, folks. And I don't like it when your host makes fun of them. I love this. I can read this stuff all day. And again, I mention this again. If I had the time, I could go and read the transcript off of YouTube. After the Pete Alonso home run in Milwaukee, now, in my mind, they're capable of anything. Greg said, I don't care what the odds or the analytics say, what they did in the regular season, they're capable of anything. That's why I said they're not going back to Philadelphia. Okay? But you said, you can tell I'm having a lot of fun with this video. I'm not going to tell you that I expect them to beat the Padres or Dodgers, but there's no way I'm going in with some downtrodden negative attitude. This is passive-aggressive if I've ever heard it. Like they have no chance. They have a chance against anybody. Boomer's in full agreement. Absolutely.
All right. I'm Boomer Sison.
And it says that no matter who the Mets meet in the NLCS, fans should be confident in their team's ability to win and clinch its first pennant in 9 years.
We have to expect them to hang with everybody. Boomer
said,
they're not an underdog. I don't care what anybody says. I need a drink of water.
I mean, that's Boomer. My goodness. You imagine that guy calling signals behind the line of scrimmage?
52, 75. Hike.
I mean, really insane. But this is the... Now here, of course, now we move on. Now we move on. Excuse me, what the hell is that? Now we move on. This might be the most insane video yet, folks, that your host has ever put together. Again from Odyssey, only thing that can ruin magical Mets season is losing to Yankees in World Series. I mean, come on. Spaz, you talk about a guy that gets everything wrong. And Spaz is another one that absolutely despises your host. He blocked me. I did a video on him that he blocked me. Me, of all people, I'm the nicest guy. I really am. I'm the nicest person. I could turn my enemies into my friends. You can ask Ethan Van Sciver. Turn my enemies into my friends. The nicest guy. But because I speak the truth and don't back down, people like this aren't used to it. They basically placate him on SNY when he does all this insane stuff on the radio. They really goof on him pretty good. And they know he's, you know. The Mets and Yankees are both in the LCS in the same year for the first time in 24 years, as New York is now 8 total wins away from a Subway Series. That would take the city by storm. Yeah, we'll see about that. Spaz wants to see it happen simply because he believes the Yankees will make it and wants to see the Mets do the same. But he says his magical riding queens over the past few weeks would be effectively destroyed. Oh my God, if the Mets reach the World Series and lose to their crosstown fall, I would mention this to Spaz. The Mets played the Yankees 4 times this year. And that was in the beginning of their run, okay, to get here. They swept them. They destroyed Garrett Cole. They played great against them. Quoted, the Mets got swept in the NLCS. It would obviously suck, but it would still be like, wow, what a great run they had. What a fun season, Spaz said. One way that the Mets could ruin the entire season and add and any kind of positive fear or excitement would be losing to the Yankees. There's no, and he screams. They scream all day. They scream. That's all they do, scream. Spaz screams when he talks. Remember John Jastrzemski? That guy hollers like he's on fire. There's no way in any way, shape, or form that imagine hanging out with these guys and, just in a restaurant. My God. There's no way in any way, shape, or form that any fan walking the face of the planet would accept losing the series to the Yankees. I don't care what your winning expectancy was, how many magical home runs you hit, or how many mascots throughout the first pitch. And he hates grimace. He hates grimace. The one thing that the Mets, under no circumstance, can do is lose the World Series to the Yankees. Spaz made sure to put it on record and say that. Isn't that what they do all the time? They make these declarations, these threats. You better do this or else. Or else. Here's something it says. Sal made sure to put it on record and say that the Mets have one of their memorable seasons ever, only to lose when it matters most to the hated Yankees, that he would be done as a sports fan. Then he'd have to quit his job, and his family would be mad that he lost his job. You better do it, or else. Luckily, he believes things would go the Mets' way if the two teams face off. I welcome it. I really think the Mets are better. I think they beat them. I felt that way in June. No, you did. No, you did. So I'm certainly going to think that now. It sounds like it, doesn't it? You better do it. You better win, or else. And this is another episode of the Insane Asylum known as WFAN. Subscribe to the Baseball Hut.
They're coming to take me away, ha ha. They're coming to take me away, ho ho, hee hee, ha ha. To the funny fun.